What's up, my Creeper gang? Creeper here, back again with another video, and today we're going to be reviewing the Saga of the Swamp Thing, Book 1, from the award-winning writer of Watchmen, Alan Moore. Now, fun fact, you guys, I've never seen Watchmen, I've never read the comics, never played, and I think there was a video game, I'm not sure, but I've never seen or heard anything of Watchmen. I've heard of Watchmen, but I've never got into Watchmen, but new videos are going to be on Watchmen. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to buy the books. I'm going to read the comics. And you guys are in the future are going to see a Watchmen review. But for now, we're going to be focusing on our jolly and greedy friend, the Swamp Thing. A brief summary of the Swamp Thing is he's a humanoid plant elemental creature created by Len Wein and artist Bernie Wrightson. The Swamp Thing has had several humanoid monster incarnations in various different storylines, but today we're going to be focusing on the storyline of Alex Holland, who is a biochemist scientist. His first appearance of the Swamp Thing was through November of 1972. He is basically Alex Holland. He is a biochemist scientist. He's trying to invent a restorative formula that can solve any nation's food shortage in the world. But what ends up happening is these two hired goons, hired by a corporation, ransacks Alex's lab, knocks him and his wife out, plants a bomb, and when he eventually wakes up from him being knocked out, the lab explodes. With the lab exploding, the formula ends up, getting exploded as well, and gets absorbed into Alex's body. But also, what ends up happening with that is he's engulfed in flames. So he leaves the lab, and his body ends up into a swamp. And then what the swamp ends up doing is the swamp ends up eating up Alex's body with the formula. So the swamp is eventually eating up his consciousness, his memories of what Alex was as a human. So what ends up happening is the swamp is now formed into this humanoid plant-like based creature that ends up believing it's Alex Holland, but it's not Alex Holland. What it is just the swamp took a hold of his memories and his self-consciousness. So it ends up thinking that it's Alex, but it's not Alex. He ends up waking up and is now turned into what we know as the Swamp Thing. He ends up, having bits and pieces of Alex's memories, and he ends up remembering his wife Linda, who also was helping him in his breakthrough in his projects. But due to the fact that his wife is dead, his friend Abby and his husband Matt end up trying to find him and to see what happened to him. And he ends up getting captured by he ends up getting captured by like this corporation, Sunderland, and they try to examine him. They try to figure out what's making him like tick, basically. And then what ends up happening is this doctor that they freed from jail, his name is Jason Woodrow, ends up doing tests on him, ends up doing all these severe tests. Jason Woodrow is one of Swamp Thing's main villains. Jason Woodrow is also a scientist. He also did work on his own body, and he is also like a plant-based creature. He's also known as the fluorescent man. If I'm sorry guys if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Fluoration man. There we go. He's also turned into the Fluoration man. He's also like what basically is he's like what Swamp Thing is, what Poison Ivy is. He's a plant based humanoid creature that he ends up doing experiments on himself. And that's one of Swamp Thing's main villains in the DC universe. This, by far, to me, you guys, this storyline of the Swamp Thing is probably one of my favorite storylines from DC. This is one of my favorite characters that I've been severely slept on. I've never come across the Swamp Thing before. Only time that I ever came across the Swamp Thing was in DC's Injustice 2, and I played the Swamp Thing, and I was just so. Ever since then, I was just so intrigued by this, by this character, and I eventually bought this book, and it helped me a lot to understand the character of Alex Holland / the Swamp Thing. This is some top-notch stuff. I definitely suggest getting this. But again, guys, if you're gonna get it in hardback, because this is more like paperback, because stuff like this, it bends, it wrinkles, and people are like, why do you get it? Well, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it was a little bit cheaper getting it in paperback, but if you guys are huge fans of the Swamp Thing, you can get the Swamp Thing, the Saga of the Swamp Thing in a box set. You can get all the books of the Swamp Thing. But basically, guys, I'm gonna show you some of the artwork in here without giving too much away. But I'm gonna show you one of my favorite pages that I've come across. Just back then in the 70s, the artwork back then was just so different. The paper back then with these comics were so much more better. You see the paper right here. It's almost like a newspaper type of paper. No gloss to it. Really nice. I really do appreciate this type of paper in comics that they use instead of the glossy type of fragile paper that they use for their comics now. But yeah, this is some of the artwork that I'm showing you guys without trying to give everything away. That's one of Alex's friends, Abby, and that's her husband, Matt. They're trying to find out where Alex has been, and they eventually end up finding, well, not his body again. This is not Alex Holland. This is the swamp basically taking over his memories to believe that he's human, but he's not. But they end up finding the Swamp Thing. Again, I'm going to show you guys more pages. But this right here, this is the Floration Man, aka Jason Woodrow, one of the main villains of Swamp Thing's storyline. But this is basically what the page is, what I've been talking to you guys about. This is how Alex became what he is now. See the explosion? He ends up getting engulfed in flames, and his body is in the sea of the swamp. And then what ends up happening is the swamp consumes him, and then ends up taking his consciousness, his memories, and believing that he is Alex. But again, he's not. Also, with the formula that was in Alex's body is infused with the swamp. So it ends up becoming what we know as Swamp Thing. But yeah, you guys, the 70s was definitely a different time. I think the 70s in the comic book era were way better. The 70s to the 80s to the 90s were the best years of comics ever. I really suggest getting this, guys, for yourself. If you guys are a big fan of DC and Swamp Thing, this is the way to go. This is by far one of the best storylines I've ever read. You can get this at your local comic book store or at your Barnes and Nobles. Or if you can't find it, try to get it at Amazon. Again, one of my favorite story arcs ever. The artwork was fantastic. The storyline was great. It made sense. And for those of you guys that are like, oh, what do you mean he's not Alex? But it's a little okay. It's a little bit confusing when you read it, but as you keep going with the story, it does make sense. But yeah, you guys, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of the Swamp Thing. If you guys have read any of the comics, if you guys have seen the TV show that's in 2 seasons that has been recently canceled, but that's for another video. If you've seen the movie of the Swamp Thing, just let me know what you guys think of the Swamp Thing. If you guys are fans of the Swamp Thing, and if you really suggest go getting this book. As always, I'm the Creeper, and I'll see you guys next time for a brand new video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. And as always, I'm the Creeper, and I'll see you guys next time.